Welcome back. We still continue, of course, with this special program paying tribute to the life and times of Dr. Hage Geingob. A bit earlier on, of course, a panel led by the United Nations Resident Coordinator, joined, of course, on the platform by the UNDP, WHO, as well as UNICEF, looking at as UN agencies, the relationship and legacy that the president had left. Of course, we're still staying with Geingob, the internationalist, and right now I'm joined online via Zoom by our ambassador to the United States from Washington, D.C., this Ambassador Margaret Mensah-Williams. A very good morning to you, Ambassador, and thank you so much for making time out to join us.
Hi, good day to you, and good day. Thank you for having me.
Well, Ambassador, I know it's, of course, quite a tough time, but I would have to start off with that question this morning. How did the news of the president reach you, and what were some of your initial reactions to this news?
Well, it was a little bit unexpected. We all had hopes. I recall I got a call from Comrade Armas Amkuyo, and I said to him, no, please just confirm before you say that to me. And he went back, he confirmed with a third person, and he said no. And that person he confirmed with was very close, so I knew it's the truth. I then called Ambassador Geertse, who also said, I said to him, I want you to also confirm. So he also confirmed, and you just go numb.
In terms of that, of course, that's
in such a circumstance, you just reflect back on what happened, on what type of person he was, and so on.
In terms of this, let's take a step back before we talk official business, of course, and look at your personal relationship with the president. When was your first encounter with Hage Geingob, the man?
Okay, that was around 34, 35 years ago, when it was his 50th birthday, when Ambassador Andreas Guibe introduced me to him at his 50th birthday party. And I knew him before, but I didn't know him in person, the man, as you rightfully put it, Hage Geingob, the man. So during that evening, I came to know him and his personality, his people-centeredness, and I was just astonished because the party went on and we were enjoying ourselves, dancing, and it was people from all backgrounds, it was people from all categories, people from all age groups, and it went on and he was dancing until 4 a.m. I looked at this man and I said, when he opens his mouth, he speaks. When he speaks politics, he's very articulate. When he speaks of anything, when he speaks to the youth, when he speaks to us, that time he was just still reminishing the times that they had just before independence and how he came to Namibia and so on. But it was a beautiful evening with a beautiful personality. And I came to know the personality at that age of 50 years of the president.
Let's look at some of your first interactions and encounters, of course, working together one-on-one with the president as well. Of course, before you became ambassador at the National Council, you were quite also active within SWAPO party politics. Reflect on that relationship a little bit.
Okay, yes. I would say that all the things that people have said, even now what the Secretary General of the United Nations have said is the truth. It was a person who loved fellow human beings, who would, as I said earlier on, he was an exceptional leader. He was very disciplined. He was very forthright. At times, one day I was even, saying sometimes president's also a little bit arrogant in the way he's saying something. But when I reflected back then, I realized, no, I am the one receiving the information, and the way in which I am filtering it, it may be wrong. It's nothing to do with arrogance. It all has got to do with, he is simply just honest. But what I liked about him is that he was very embracing. He would not like you to speak bad about other people. He will defend any person. If you come and you say, Margaret have done A, B, C, D, he will just give you all the good trademarks of Margaret and tell you maybe you are talking about a wrong person. It's not the same person. It was somebody who didn't like people to be humiliated. He hated that. It was somebody who in the party tried to always unite us. It is somebody who was a father figure. It was somebody who would, at all instances, make you to learn something from him. He believed in education, but he would never give you 100%. He always said there's room for improvement. And sometimes you felt that maybe he comes a bit out too tough in the way he made himself to be perceived. He kept himself sometimes very straight-faced and, listening. And then he look at you and he listens. And when he look at you in that way, and the one leg is shaking, then, later I determined, no, that is when he's not happy about something. But overall, what I liked is he liked people who spoke the truth. Whether the truth was how bad, you had to speak the truth. You had to say it like it is. Don't come to him and tell him that such and such happened. You must tell him the truth from the start. But overall, he liked consultation. And I have learned that from him, to consult. He would always consult, and whenever you do something in politics, he always would tell you, up till today, I still consult Dr. Semnioma and Dr. Pohamba. So they are older than me, not only in years, but also in experience. And I depend on the wisdom from others. I can even learn from you, young people as you are, you would always say. So those are some of the trademarks that I have seen. But above all, I have seen him as a person who could go down to the level of the poorest of poor, and he could also go to the middle, and he could go to upper class, to the rich people.
Just that ability to get along with everybody amongst different classes. I mean, such a special leadership trait, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ricardo.
In terms of your, of course, engagements with him as well, I want you to also just recall maybe one or two of fond memories that you might have of him. One of them, of course, that everybody keeps talking about is the fact that if he's not happy about something, you will get a tongue lashing. But if he's happy about something, you will also get that praises. Have you ever been at the end of one of those famous tongue lashings?
Oh, a couple of times, absolutely. Because what he did always was, those that he felt maybe was a little bit closer to him, he was a little bit more harsh towards us. Because sometimes, we would go off. One day I recall me and Honorable Katrina Hansey Marwa in the political bureau, there was a discussion and she put something on the table, a point, and he did not like specifically maybe the approach, and he was giving a tongue lash, and then she went out. I could see that she was a bit unhappy. I went out, and then I went and we came back after 5 minutes or so, and then he looked at us, and we were sitting, and he said, is your meeting finished now? Are the Southerners, he was not a tribalist or anything, but when he wanted to tease you in a way, he would say, did the Southerners finish meeting outside? And we didn't say anything. We just looked, and he asked for a second time. Now, what he didn't like was, he didn't like to be ignored. You should rather say something rather than to keep quiet. The way Katrina is, she looked around and she asked, which Southerners are you talking of the president? And then he started laughing. So then we cracked that joke and we started laughing, and that is how but I was also at various occasions, I would one day, I recall, I was not happy in the host country where I'm serving as to the way in which I felt they were treating our leaders. And then I spoke up, and then he said, you Namibians, you must know we are a small country in terms of population, but I don't blame you. I'm also like that. Sometimes we are arrogant, but I don't blame you. I'm also like that. So then I said to him, but I just want the best for you. He said, I understand, but I also have to reprimand you that you have to trade carefully when you deal with the country in which you are. The way you speak in politics is not the way you do. But 15 years ago, I was part of his first encounter with cancer when he had prostate cancer and he was going for his treatment.
And this is still when you were
He
at
went
the
for
National Council as the chairperson?
no, not not that time.
Okay.
It was prior to
that.
It's like 15 years. Yeah, prior to that, I was maybe the vice chairperson at the time, and I was there with other friends like Knowledge Kati and so on, and obviously Johan was there. He was, I think, yeah, he was not yet back in prime ministership. He was the chief whip of SWAPO Party. And I recall, you know, those dreadful moments where he was very unsettled going in for the procedure. And I said, don't worry, comrade, we will pray for you. Don't you worry. And we prayed, and I sat there and I prayed the rosary while he was inside. And he came out, and we had then, you know, good moments after that. And he was so grateful and happy that he had also friends around him during the time of difficulty. So the last time also, when I was with him for the last week before they returned back to Namibia, I also felt the same way. I felt God pulled you through the first one, he will pull you through the second one, but unfortunately, God has got his own ways in how he does things. He decides when it's your time in life to end, and so forth. But overall, you know, interesting parts and bits of what we went through, and when he was happy, he would praise you. He would say, no. I remember there was one day, I placed something, an article, or I placed a letter, a public letter, an open letter. I sent it to him, but I also placed it on my Facebook page. And obviously he have heard that there was a certain journalist who was not very happy because the way in which she was asking me, she was asking, why do I say he's an exceptional leader?
Yeah.
And I gave a reason. Then he one day laughed, he called me, laughed, he said, may I also know how you have responded to the journalist? I understand you responded to the journalist. I said, no, Comrade President, you don't like to be praised, so I would rather not discuss it with you. But eventually I sent it to him. I sent my response to the journalist to him. And he was very happy. He said, ah, ha, ha, ha. Sometimes they are saying you are hand clappers. I said, well, if I'm a hand clapper, I'm a proud hand clapper. So that you know, and then the serious moments would be there where who would say no. And he didn't like cowards. If you didn't pull through with your question that you had, or you did not explain yourself on a subject you brought to light, he will say, no, you are behaving like a coward. Now, only cowards does that. You must stand firm for what you stand for.
For what you stand for. In terms of the legacy, how do you want Namibians to remember him and continue his legacy?
You know, I want Namibians to continue with building the Namibian house. It's a concept that he has, but it's a concept of unity. It's a concept of building on what we have from where we are and going forward. And like I said during the memorial service we held last week, Saturday, I said, life is a cycle of the creation of humankind, and that it's demarcated and punctuated by generations which come and go, like the waves of the ocean, and that's the way Agi Geingob came, born under a tree on a farm, and eventually become the president of the country. And I want us to make the issues stand out that he wanted. He wanted economic prosperity for us. And during that economic prosperity, he lived his life to the fullest, but he also was careful of how he traded with other people. And when it came to the Harambee prosperity plan, he had obviously the economic pillars were set out there of macroeconomic stability, of economic transformation, of youth enterprise development, economic competitiveness. And, when green hydrogen came, the issue of green hydrogen, when God sent, as he always said, gas and oil and so on, you build on that, but you build your economy. And basically, you are starting to become competitive.
100%.
And I would like us to continue his legacy through that and ensure that Namibia becomes economically stable.
All right.
And not only stable, but becoming a competitor in the world market.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for making time out to join us. I'm sure when you are in the country for the funeral, we'll definitely have some time to reflect on his legacy as well. Thank you. Our ambassador to the United States of America, reflecting on the life and times and, of course, a personal relationship with the president. We now cross